of all mankind. Black history did not start with slavery in 1619. The truth is, it was created on the sixth day, when God formed Adam from the dust of the ground and planted a garden in Eden and put Adam in the land called Ethiopia. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 through 15. Several biblical translations substituted the English word Ethiopia with Cush, the Hebrew meaning black. Adam, the original African man, the father of Seth, the sixth generation from Enoch, the Ethiopian prophet, the father of Methuselah, the grandson of Noah, the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread, in other words, populated. Genesis chapter 9, verse 19. Ham, the father of Cush and Nimrod, Shem, 10 generations from Abraham, the father of Isaac, the father of Esau, and Jacob, later known as Israel, the father of the 12 tribes. Black history is the genesis of all humanity. Many ancient historians agree. Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt in the 15th century BC, saw that the Egyptians face to face and described them as black-skinned in his writings. Herodotus said the people of North Africa, East Africa, Arabia, Palestine, Israel, all the way over to India were Ethiopian. Historian Demarius flat out said Egypt was a colony of Ethiopia, which incidentally makes sense, as the first humans would be from Central East Africa and would migrate north, which leads to the lightening of skin by the different geological regions, climates, and the loss of melanin, pigmentation in the body, also known as mutation, which means the changing of the gene results in a variant form that may be transmitted to subsequent generations, caused by the alteration of single base units and DNA, or the deletion or rearrangement of chromosomes. Mutation is ultimately the only way in which new variations enter a species. The word says in Genesis chapter 25, verse 24 through 25, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. This was the beginning of the changing of skin. If you go in the Bible, they never mention black, white, color. It was always by a tribe or a nation, because there was only one. Therefore, the words, science, and history prove that the African is the original man. You can't grow melanin. You can only lose it. Let me say that again. You can't grow melanin. You can only lose it. Therefore, it has to be given in you from birth. The name of the second river flowing out of Eden is Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush, first mentioned in Genesis chapter 2, verse 3. Although some believe that Cush should be a reference to the Mesopotamia, all the biblical scholars believe that it is more consistent to identify it as the general term for the African land south of Egypt. The King James Version and the contemporary English version translate the name of the land as Ethiopia. Cush, a powerful nation in the Bible, when the Assyrians' army was laying siege to Jerusalem, he felt threatened by the king of Cush, who had been marching to meet the Assyrians in battle. When the historians first started writing, it came through an artist who said that Jesus was white. That was the whitewashing of the word and all the artists began to paint Jesus as being white-skinned. Jesus was an African descendant. Abraham was an African descendant. You can go all the way back to the land of Africa and Ethiopia. When I first came upon this truth, I had been reading the Bible for years, up until one day when I looked and I saw that word Cush. And when I looked the meaning of that word up, that's when I found out that Cush was actually, should have been Ethiopia, which is in Africa. So we're all from Africa. The only difference between any of us in here is a little DNA. We are all descendants of the African. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.